We live in a world where words are everywhere. People make promises, share their opinions, and talk about their dreams. Social media is filled with motivational quotes, affirmations, and people declaring who they are and what they stand for. And while words are powerful, they are not enough. What really defines a person is not what they say, it's what they do. You can tell people all day long that you are kind, patient, and loving, but if your actions don't match your words, then your words lose their power. You can say you're committed to your goals, but if you never take the steps necessary to achieve them, your words are meaningless. You can tell others you believe in them, but if you're not showing up, supporting them, and proving it with action, then those words are just empty noise. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll change," but nothing ever changes? How often have people told you they'll be there for you, only for them to disappear when you need them the most? The reality is, words may get people's attention, but actions reveal the truth. They show what's really in a person's heart. Some people talk a lot about faith, yet when challenges come, they fall apart because they never really live what they claim to believe. Some people say they want success, but they never put in the work, never stay consistent, and never sacrifice for the things they say they want. The problem isn't that they don't have good intentions. The problem is that good intentions don't create results. We see this principle everywhere. A business can promise great customer service, but if they don't treat customers well, their words mean nothing. A leader can talk about integrity, but if they lack honesty in their personal and professional life, their words will eventually lose credibility. A parent can tell their child to be kind and respectful, but if they don't model that behavior, the child will follow what they see, not what they hear. The same applies to you. What you do every day is what truly defines you. You don't have to go around telling people you're disciplined, let them see it in your work ethic. You don't have to announce that you're faithful, let them see it in how you handle adversity. You don't have to prove to anyone that you're trustworthy, just live in such a way that your actions make it obvious. One of the biggest traps people fall into is thinking that saying something is the same as doing something. They mistake talking about a dream for making progress toward it. They feel satisfied after telling others about their goals, even if they haven't actually done anything to achieve them. And while speaking life over your dreams is important, at some point you have to take action. A real confidence doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what you do. When you take action, you build momentum. When you step out in faith, you develop resilience. When you follow through on what you say, you earn trust not just from others, but from yourself. There's a reason why people admire doers more than talkers. It's because doers prove what they believe. They don't just talk about making a difference, they get up every day and do the work, even when it's hard. They don't just say they're committed to personal growth, they take intentional steps to improve themselves. They don't just say they love people, they show love through service, patience, and sacrifice. Words have their place, but they should always align with action. Otherwise, they become noise, empty, powerless, and eventually ignored. If you want people to believe in you, if you want to grow, if you want to make an impact, let your actions do the talking. Let the way you live speak louder than anything you could ever say. When people think about success, transformation, or making an impact, they often imagine one big breakthrough moment. They dream of the day when everything suddenly shifts, when they wake up motivated, when the opportunity of a lifetime falls into their lap. But the truth is, real change doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in the small, daily decisions that no one sees. The little things you do every day shape the person you become. Waking up early and starting your day with purpose, even when you don't feel like it. Choosing discipline over comfort, even when no one is watching. Showing kindness in small interactions, even when it's inconvenient. These habits may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they create a life of excellence and purpose. Look at the most successful, influential, and impactful people in the world. They didn't get there overnight. They didn't wake up one morning and suddenly have all the wisdom, skill, and strength they needed. They became who they are by making the right choices over and over again when it was difficult, when it was boring, when no one was clapping for them. A lot of people are waiting for motivation before they take action. They think, I'll be consistent once I feel inspired. But inspiration comes and goes. Feelings change. If you base your actions on how you feel in the moment, you will never build the discipline necessary to succeed. The secret to growth isn't found in big, flashy moments. It's found in small, daily acts of commitment. Think about an athlete training for a championship. They don't wait until they feel like working out to get stronger. They don't only practice when they're excited. They show up every day, push through the discomfort, and stay committed to the process. Even when the results aren't immediate, even when progress feels slow, they trust that every small step is leading them somewhere greater. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to be healthier, you don't need to make dramatic changes overnight. Start with small, consistent habits, choosing water over soda, taking a short walk every day, getting enough sleep. Over time, these small choices create lasting transformation. If you want to build strong relationships, it's not about grand gestures once in a while. It's about showing up consistently, checking in on people, being present, listening when they talk, expressing gratitude. The strength of a relationship isn't determined by what you do once. It's determined by what you do repeatedly. If you want to grow spiritually, it's not enough to seek wisdom only when you're in trouble. It's about the daily habits, prayer, reflection, reading, applying truth to your life. The strongest people aren't the ones who have occasional moments of faith. They're the ones who walk in it daily, even when life is uncertain. Many people fail not because they lack talent or potential, but because they lack consistency. They start strong but quit when things get hard. They get excited about change but don't follow through when progress feels slow. They underestimate the power of small decisions, so they dismiss them. But what they don't realize is that everything they do, good or bad, is adding up. You don't become strong, wise, or successful overnight. You become those things by what you repeatedly do. Every small act of discipline, every little choice to stay committed, every seemingly insignificant decision to do the right thing, it all adds up. And one day you will look back and realize that the life you built wasn't created by a single moment of inspiration, but by thousands of small, consistent actions that led you there. Fear has a way of keeping people stuck. It whispers lies that paralyze progress. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if things don't work out? These thoughts take root in the mind and convince people that staying where they are is safer than stepping into the unknown. But fear is a liar. It exaggerates risks, magnifies doubts, and keeps people from living the life they were meant to live. The truth is, fear doesn't go away just because you wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't disappear simply because you hope it will. Fear only loses its power when you decide to take action in spite of it. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. The people who do great things in life aren't the ones who never feel fear, the ones who refuse to let fear stop them. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you sit and think about what could go wrong, the bigger fear grows. Have you ever noticed that the more you overthink something, the harder it becomes to actually do it? That's because fear feeds on inaction. The moment you start moving, fear starts losing its grip. Action is the antidote to fear. Think about a child learning to swim. The first time they step into the water, they may feel afraid. Their mind races with all the things that could go wrong. But once they take that first stroke, once they start moving, they begin to realize they are more capable than they thought. It's not that the fear instantly vanishes, it's that action gives them the confidence to push past it. That's how it works in life. You can sit on the shore thinking about what could go wrong, or you can step into the water and start moving. Fear wants you to believe that you need certainty before you act, but that's not how courage works. You don't wait for confidence to show up before you start, and confidence follows. Many people let fear control their decisions without even realizing it. They turn down opportunities because they don't feel qualified. They avoid stepping out of their comfort zone because they're afraid of failing. They stay in situations that no longer serve them because at least the familiar feels safe. But safety is not the same as growth. Staying where you are might feel comfortable, but it will never lead to the kind of life you were meant to live. Every person who has ever achieved something great had to face fear. The difference is that they refused to let it dictate their choices. They applied for a job even when they weren't sure they'd get it. They started the business even when they didn't have all the answers. They spoke up even when their voice shook. They took the first step, not because they were fearless, but because they chose to move forward anyway. Fear will always try to make you focus on what could go wrong. But what if you started focusing on what could go right? What if, instead of worrying about failure, you started imagining success? What if instead of assuming the worst, you started believing in the possibility of something better? You don't have to have all the answers before you begin. You don't have to see the whole path before you take the first step. Fear loses its power when you stop overthinking and start moving. You will never feel 100% ready, and that's okay. The most important thing is that you take action, even if your hands are shaking, even if your heart is racing, even if you don't know exactly what the outcome will be. The only way to break free from fear is to do the very thing you're afraid of. One small step at a time, one act of courage after another, until fear no longer has control over your life. Excuses are easy. They give people a way out, a reason to stay the same, and a way to justify why they aren't where they want to be. But excuses don't change anything. They don't move you forward, they don't open doors, and they don't make your life better. If anything, excuses are like invisible chains that keep you bound to the same struggles, the same disappointments, and the same missed opportunities. It's always easier to blame something or someone else. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. I wasn't given the same opportunities as others. My past is holding me back. I've already tried, and it didn't work. These thoughts may feel true, but the real truth is, as long as you keep making excuses, you will stay stuck. The moment you take responsibility for your life, everything changes. Taking responsibility doesn't mean that life has always been fair. It doesn't mean that challenges haven't been real. It simply means that you are choosing to take control of what happens next. You may not be responsible for everything that has happened to you, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. People who refuse to take responsibility for their lives often live in a cycle of frustration. They wait for circumstances to change instead of making a change themselves. They complain about what's not working but never take action to fix it. They blame their past, their upbringing, their mistakes, or even other people, instead of recognizing the power they have to create a different future. Taking responsibility means making a decision that you will no longer let outside factors control your progress. It means shifting your focus from what you can't control to what you can control. You can't control your past, but you can control what you do with it. You can't control every obstacle that comes your way, but you can control how you respond to it. You can't control what other people do, but you can control your own choices. One of the biggest traps of making excuses is that they keep you comfortable. As long as you have an excuse, you don't have to push yourself. You don't have to risk failure. You don't have to step into the unknown, but comfort is the enemy of growth. If you want something different, you have to be willing to do something different. Think about the most successful, resilient, and disciplined people in the world. You think they never faced difficulties. Of course they did. But instead of making excuses, they found solutions. Instead of blaming their circumstances, they adapted and found a way forward. They didn't waste energy complaining about how hard things were. They used that energy to take action. You have that same power. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions. You don't have to wait for someone to rescue you. You don't have to keep living in the same patterns. The moment you stop making excuses and take responsibility, you step into a new level of freedom. It's time to stop focusing on why you can't and start focusing on how you can. It's time to stop allowing your past to define you and start creating the future you want. It's time to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start moving forward with what you have, right where you are. Because the truth is, no excuse is worth more than the life you are capable of building. People are always watching, whether you realize it or not. The way you live your life speaks louder than anything you could ever say. Your actions, your choices, your attitude, these are the things that leave a lasting impression on those around you. Many people spend time trying to convince others of who they are. They talk about their values, their beliefs, their goals, and their dreams. But at the end of the day, what people remember isn't what you said, it's what you did. They remember how you treated them. They remember whether you were consistent. They remember whether your words matched your actions. You don't have to be famous, wealthy, or in a position of leadership to make an impact. Your life is influencing others whether you realize it or not. Your family or friends, your coworkers, even strangers who cross your path, every interaction you have is an opportunity to inspire, to uplift, and to make a difference. Living a life that inspires others doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean having all the answers or never making mistakes. It simply means living with authenticity, integrity, and purpose. People aren't inspired by perfection, they're inspired by perseverance. They're moved by those who keep going despite challenges, who stay true to their values even when it's difficult, who lead by example instead of just by words. Think about the people who have inspired you. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you when no one else did. Maybe it was a friend who showed kindness when you were struggling. Maybe it was someone who faced incredible obstacles but refused to give up. The people who make the biggest impact aren't necessarily the ones with the loudest voices. They're the ones whose lives reflect what they believe. When you choose to live with integrity, people notice. When you stay committed to your values, even when it's inconvenient, people take note. When you keep pushing forward despite setbacks, you show others what resilience looks like. Every time you choose to do the right thing, even when no one is watching, you set an example that others can follow. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They think inspiration only comes from big achievements or dramatic moments. But the truth is, the way you live every single day is what leaves a legacy. The way you treat the cashier at the grocery store, the way you speak to your family, the way you handle challenges, these things matter. Your life is telling a story. The question is, what kind of story are you telling? Are you showing others what it means to live with purpose? Are you demonstrating kindness, faith, and perseverance? Are you making choices that align with what you say you believe? It's easy to say you want to inspire others, but the only way to truly do that is to live in a way that others want to follow. Not because you tell them to, but because they see something in you that they want in their own lives. They see your peace in the middle of chaos. They see your strength when things get hard. They see your generosity when no one is looking. You never know who is watching. You never know who needs to see an example of what's possible. You never know whose life could be changed simply by the way you choose to live yours.